Unlock the unknown.
I won't accept it, what the skeptics even have to say. The disconnected, made a record and it's so cliche. So much evidence is building up in our possession. So many elements come code the answer to this question. From the page of myth to actuality, to unlock a locked door, where's the magic key? Unlock the unknown.
So get inside your soul and dig a little deeper.
Unlock the unknown.
Discovering the truth will make you feel freer. Like a raging bull gives pain. These mysteries are hurricanes. The truth you seek is unbeknown. Unlock the unknown.
You have 77 counties in Oklahoma because reports in them, and 66 counties.
Cheyenne Indians call it Maps of Vista, meaning giant monster.
These are some of the best cast footprints that I've seen in a very, very long time.
North Canadian River Project. We basically focus our investigations on the North Canadian River or central Oklahoma.
And welcome back to Squatch Ranger Files, episode 44. I'm really excited about this episode, guys. We're going to change the format a little bit. You're used to me reading Bigfoot reports from around the country, around the world, around North America. Not going to be reading Bigfoot reports on this episode. Instead, I'm inviting an excellent guest, Brian Terrell, of the Red Dirt Cryptids Investigations team. I will let him introduce himself and talk about his group here in a little bit. But first, a few announcements. And once again, we are expanding the show to the Anchor platform, and we are very excited to be here. Anchor helps the show reach Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and many more. We hope to grow our audience and are able to continue to bring you the latest Bigfoot reports from around the country. If you are a new listener out there to the show, welcome. You are now an official Squatch Ranger. Your duties include have an open mind, ask questions, trust but confirm, and always seek the truth. Thanks for joining the show. Yes, we appreciate all of our new listeners here on the Anchor platform and all the different platforms. Wherever you're tuning in from, doesn't matter, we're just glad you're here. Please help spread the word about our show. If you like the content that we're bringing, please spread the word. We'd like to keep this going as long as possible. I enjoy bringing you the Bigfoot reports and providing the show. All right, so let's move on here. I want to talk about my YouTube channel really quick. I do have a YouTube channel. It's called Squatch Ranger. And I want to talk about two videos in particular real quick. About a year ago, I uploaded a video called Bigfoot Eyewitness Quiz. And about a week ago, I uploaded a video called Bigfoot Suit ID. And both of these videos were inspired by a skeptic's point of view, kind of looking through the eyes of a skeptic. You know, what questions do skeptics ask? What kind of points do they bring up? And what I come back to is they always say eyewitnesses are misidentifying animals. Like you misidentified a bear. Misidentified bear. And then the other topic or point they like to bring up is you were hoaxed. It was a hoaxer, someone prancing around in a Bigfoot suit. So I want you to check out both of these videos. They touch on both of these topics. The Bigfoot Eyewitness Quiz is like a 10-question quiz, proving that the average person has common sense and they can identify basic animals. And so that's kind of for the skeptics. The second video, the Bigfoot Suit ID, I kind of had this idea to come up with a police lineup and put all of the most popular Bigfoot costumes on the market in a police lineup for a witness to look at. And this will this will kind of help us eliminate if it was a hoax or not. So, I mean, they might look at the lineup and say, what I saw didn't look like any of these. Are you kidding me? These Bigfoot costumes look ridiculous. Or, you never know, it might be the other way. They might say, oh wow, number 7 in your lineup looks exactly like what I saw. In fact, that's what I did see. And there we go. We knew it was a hoaxer just by providing some pictures of some Bigfoot costumes on the market, ranging from $60 to $100 in an affordable price range for most people. So please check out those videos on my YouTube channel. All right, on the upcoming episode of Squatch Ranger Files, episode 45, I'm going to give you my review of the new Finding Bigfoot, The Search Continues. It's a 2-hour special. There's a lot of people out there in the Bigfoot circles. They're getting confused. They're thinking that this Finding Bigfoot was a whole new season. It's not. It's just one 2-hour episode. If you haven't caught it already, I suggest that you get the Discovery Plus app, do the 7-day trial, watch the episode, and then end your subscription before the 7 days. You can watch the episode for free. That's exactly what I did. So I recommend you do that. So anyway, in the upcoming episode, I will give some thoughts on the Finding Bigfoot episode and what I think. So stay tuned for that. All right, without any further ado, let's bring on our guest. He is with the Red Dirt Cryptids Investigations team. He investigates in a part of Oklahoma that is near and dear to my heart because I am originally from his area where he's going around and looking for signs of Bigfoot and talking to eyewitnesses. And so let's bring on Brian Terrell. Brian, welcome to Squatch Ranger Files. It's nice to have you.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
Why don't you go ahead and let's open this up. Tell the audience just a little bit about yourself, how you got into Bigfooting, why you like the topic of Bigfoot, all that good stuff.
Well, what's not to like? My name's Brian. I live in Enid. I'm a teacher. I'm not a spring chicken anymore, but I still get out and I do a lot of camping, and I have done a lot of camping and outdoor stuff my whole life. And because of that, and because of what I've seen and I've been out there and done and witnessed, it's kind of got me interested in the cryptids. And I'm just a regular guy with a lot of curiosity and an open mind, and I think everybody that's into Bigfoot and Sasquatch and other cryptids, they know that having a truly open mind is a pretty rare thing in reality.
Yes, and you said you're from Enid, Oklahoma, and that kind of makes me think some listeners out there might be Jurassic Park 3 fans. And I don't know if you've seen Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah, okay. They reference the Kirby Paint and Tile Plus store, Enid, Oklahoma, and the Enid Westgate Shopping Center.
Yeah.
So they reference that in the movie throughout Enid, Oklahoma. Is that one of Enid's number one claims to fame?
Well, I gotta admit, it was kind of a shock. I was actually in the movie theater when I heard that, and I was just like, what did they just say? And there really is a Westgate Shopping Center in Enid, but there has never been a Kirby Tile
and Plus. Okay. Well, I figured Mark Price might be your number one claim to fame, but I think Jurassic Park 3 is an awesome movie. We watch it all the time when it's on TBS or whatever network. So I just had to throw that in there for the audience. Enid, Oklahoma, everybody. All right, now let's get back to the Bigfoot talk. So you have a Facebook group, and it's called the Red Dirt Cryptids Investigations. How and why did you come up with Red Dirt Cryptid Investigations?
Yeah, It does kind of stick out a little bit. To be truthful with you, it kind of evolved out of what I would say to be a struggle that I think we're having in Northwest Oklahoma. You know, if you go to other places like southeastern Oklahoma, you know, you can sit in a restaurant, you can talk about Sasquatch or Bigfoot, and nobody even really pays attention because that's fairly commonplace, you know, and it's just borderline not unusual. Now, up in northwestern Oklahoma, you know, these people would probably overhear a conversation like that, and you know, they'd be like, "You hearing all this?" You know, and it's just really unusual. And I think that because we have that stigma in northwest Oklahoma, I think that we've got a tougher job to do by trying to get the word out and to try to get people to come forward and for people to give us information and tell us what they've seen or what they've heard or what they've experienced. And so when we were choosing a name, we wanted a name that just almost sounded like Northwest Oklahoma. And that was what we came up with. We just wanted to come across as not some, you know, cryptid team from, you know, somewhere far away. We wanted to be local. You know what I mean?
Yes, it's a very unique name. I'm just thinking, I think you have anywhere between 300 to 400 members right now in your Facebook group. And I'm just thinking, if the people in the Bigfoot circles, when the names are scrolling across or the groups are scrolling across on Facebook, like pages you should join, and they see Red Dirt Cryptids, I think that's just a catchy name and that really grabs their attention. So kudos to you on the name, and it fits perfect because it describes the area just like you were talking about. Now, I want to talk about Northwest Oklahoma some more. I want to talk about Sasquatch activity in Northwest Oklahoma because you were saying it's unheard of, or it has been, and you're trying to break that. Are there any known hot spots in Northwest Oklahoma? Any spots that you tend to go back to and you're hearing activity and patterns?
Oh yeah. Now, first and foremost, let me just say that Northwest Oklahoma is when people hear that Northwest, you know, when they hear that, they immediately get these idea of rolling barren plains with, you know, like Kansas or something, and even Kansas, you know, that's a misconception as well. I mean, Kansas is not all like that, you know. There is a lot of woods in Northwest Oklahoma. There's a lot of trees, and now it's not like Eastern Oklahoma where, you know, there's trees everywhere, you know, and you basically have to go in with a bobcat and carve you out a spot in the trees just to put your house. But they're out here. I mean, we've got tons and tons of forest and vegetation, you know, 100, you know, plus year old trees. And I mean, there's a lot of cover and habitat for them. But, you know, there is a lot of open plains too. But that actually can work to our advantage. And that's a kind of a technical question there. I don't want to distract from your question, but yeah, the hot spots, I'm going to say the one that we probably try to work the most is Canton Lake. It's pretty well known that there's Sasquatch activity out there. We've found tracks out there. I've never seen one out there, but they're out there. We've got reports from Salt Plains Lake area. They are not as, you know, they don't come in as often, but we do occasionally get reports of them up in that area. Try looking at, you know, the amount of cover just at Salt Plains Lake, you know, with all the trees and stuff out there. It's pretty dense. We don't just completely, you know, we're not isolated to Northwest Oklahoma. We like to go, I think Skytook Lake area is a great area. We've done some research out there. We've also, you know, I've always got my ear to the ground for what's going on around Blackwell, Ponca City. There's a lot of First Nations people that live up there, and I think anybody that's in the know knows that they tend to follow the First Nations people around, I think, or at least they feel more comfortable with them, at least, you know. But those are a few of the places that we try to. Now, there's really nothing in the immediate Enid area. We have to travel, but, you know, it is what it is.
So you said you found some tracks up around Canton Lake. About how big were those tracks, or what were some of the biggest tracks you found around there?
Well, the biggest tracks that I found were, I'm going to say about 14 inches over there. They were some really muddy ones, so and they were old, so it kind of makes it hard to, you know, be real specific. But and I would say that was you know, a young adult, or maybe a good sized female. You know, like I said, it's kind of hard to tell. We found some juvenile tracks, or what we believe to be juvenile tracks, down there too, and that's, in my opinion, that's great. I mean, it's good that they're thriving to the point where, you know, they've got young ones that are surviving and growing. And a couple of weeks ago, I was scrolling around on Facebook, and there was a couple that had posted some stuff on the North Canadian River Project page, where they were out there on the west end of the wildlife management area out there, and they had come across an impressive track set. Not going to lie to you, I was pretty jealous. And my brother has found some tracks, and they were about a size 10 over there, and they were out in the middle of nowhere, barefoot tracks. We've got some I think there's a couple of photos of those on our website that my brother took, where they were crossing the river.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I want to get into, you know, how you investigate. What do you do to investigate cryptids?
Well, what does anybody do? I mean, we've got people like you know, the big boys on TV, and they have unlimited budgets, and they can't find them. The main thing I do is I put myself out there. I mean, you're never gonna have an experience, or you're never gonna find anything unless you get out there. You got to get out there, and you got to go camping. You know, you got to put yourself in those places where you know that they are rumored to be, and just be there and be yourself. Make a little noise, laugh a little bit. You know, there's no, you know, surefire secret for how to get a opportunity to interact with them or something like that. But I know that, you know, just by being out there and doing that, you know, you're never going to have anything happen in your head. Well, that's not true. Ask what's his name from Livewire. He wasn't asking for any of it, and they just came up. But I've never been that lucky, if you call that lucky. But in Northwest Oklahoma, though, we do have, I would say, like a lower population, but we've also got some advantages that most people don't realize. You know, like when you're hunting deer in Northwest Oklahoma, a lot of times we'll hunt funnels, because the trees grow along creeks, and they grow along rivers and stuff like that. And I think that the big men, they use those as corridors. And you and I have had a lot of conversations about, you know, their trackways and you know, their travel routes and whatnot, or, you know, hypothetical travel routes. And
Right.
Yeah, and you know, if they're sticking to cover, if they're sticking to trees, and the trees follow strips, why, that makes them easier to pattern. You can look at aerial photos and say, well, the woods get real skinny right there. You know, you can find it on aerial photographs, Google Earth, and you can save yourself a lot of time, and you can just go to that one spot, and you can look at that. Sometimes it's a bridge, sometimes Sometimes it's just a part where a place where the trees get skinny, kind of thin. And you can walk around out there and you can look, and you can do a lot of investigating just on Google Earth. I love Google Earth. I love Google Maps.
Me too. Yeah, I think that's a great point. It's eastern Oklahoma, lots and lots of woods. Where do you begin to investigate versus
Yeah.
northwest Oklahoma, western Oklahoma, what you're describing? You kind of have all the places laid out, and you kind of just know where to go and where they should be according to the pathways for them to travel with wooded cover.
Yeah, I mean, just follow the strips of cover, and so in a way, finding them is a little bit easier where we're at, because over there they could be anywhere, but there's just less of them up here. I will concede that point.
So do you think they are just traveling through western Oklahoma, northwest Oklahoma, or do you think there's just few of them that are staying kind of year round? What do you think?
The mysteries, there's no way to know for sure, but
right. I just want to know what you kind
but
of.
I can tell you what I do know. I do know that, take for instance, Canton Wildlife Management Area. There were a set of tracks, in a good trackway that was found just out there a couple weeks ago. That's January. February, 1st February. We found some out there in the middle of the summer. So if they're just passing through, how many times are they coming and going during the week or during the year? I don't know. I mean, there's just too many things that we don't know. But, when you're finding tracks in a consistent basis in the summer, in the winter, in the fall, why, the obvious conclusion is that they are not migrating through, that they actually live there.
Very, very interesting. I want to know who else is involved in your organization.
Oh man, I got a group of great guys, good friends. A lot of these guys, I've known them forever. The first one would probably be my brother James. Got to mention him. I've had the displeasure of knowing him his whole life, not my whole life. He's handy. I'll tell you what. He's one of those. He's an excellent devil's advocate. He keeps me honest. It's real easy to slip down the rabbit hole whenever you're doing this type of work. And I'm kind of a natural skeptic, but he's even more of a good skeptic. And to be truthful with you, I always feel better when he's around, because he's a pretty good shot. Micah Doan.
That's
good.
Oh
yeah, well, he's pretty good. My friend Micah Doan, he is a friend of mine. I've known him for many, many years. We met in Boy Scouts. We were both Boy Scout leaders for many years, and we still work together on certain scouting projects. And he's the amount of just sheer time that he's spent in the woods is phenomenal, and not just Oklahoma, it's all over, North America. We've got another guy named Jeff Hatfield, really good guy. He's you'll probably recognize him on our YouTube videos. He's the one that plays the guitar, and he's actually pretty good. But anyway, he's excellent to have out. He's the one that actually spotted the black object moving in one of our videos. Man, I tell you what, that I will never forget that. When we were down southeastern Oklahoma, we were just sitting there having a casual conversation. He come flying out of his chair, and he was like, "There's something big and black, and it's moving right there." And you could just tell by the intensity and the excitement in his voice that, it was like instantly I knew this is no joke. He is for real. Let's try to find something. Let's try to get something on tape. And it didn't work out, but it was great. And let's see, there's Jeff, there's Jimmy, Micah, me, and of course there's the mysterious Mr. X. Mr. X is he's what can I say about Mr. X without giving him away? I can't say a whole lot, honestly. Very intelligent man, good man, knowledgeable, been around, has a lot of experience, not just in the field, but also just in life. And he's really good to have on our team. He's a really smart individual. So, but I can't tell you a whole lot about him.
I understand. Sounds like you got a great crew, great group
Yeah.
of guys. Now, if there's a listener out there, maybe in your general area, and they're hearing you talk, and maybe this is sparking some interest, they're interested in maybe joining your group, can anyone join your team? How does this work?
Well, we've actually had that come up, and we had to actually call a meeting about that because, there is liability involved in that kind of thing. And it prompted us to do certain, protect ourselves legally as a group. But what it really boils down to is there's different types of campouts that we go on. And I love having new people out on certain campouts. And especially if it's like a car camp out where we just go to an area in a car and we set up some tents and we sit around a campfire and have a good time. Oh yeah. And we've had people come out on those. We had so a really nice couple from Sherry and Albert come out with us to Canton one time, and we had a really good time. And but we do have some campouts that we do that are a little more dangerous. We went way back into Skytook Wildlife Management Area not too long ago, and we basically canoed several miles back in there, set up camp, and we were doing research that week, and we did a YouTube video on it. And we actually had a couple of guys turn over in the canoe on the way back, and the water was really cold. And to be quite truthful with you, things got really serious really quick. I was concerned about getting, their canoe and everything and all their gear out of the water. And within a matter of less than 2 minutes, I think hypothermia was actually setting in on the guys and scared the hell out of me, But we knew what to do. They knew what to do. And we handled the situation. But it was just kind of a big reminder that, we can't just have anybody going on these trips because something could happen to them, And if you don't have the option of just running and jumping in your car and running for your life, why, I think that the general public would probably have to miss out on those type just for safety reasons. But yeah, we really do like having people come with us and hang out and on what I call the low impact outings that we do. Love it. I love meeting new people.
Low impact outings. I like that a lot. So what makes your group or your Facebook page different from everybody else?
Well, my Facebook page is a little different. Our group, we're just a bunch of normal guys. There's none of us are certified Sasquatch whisperers. But we're just a bunch of guys that are open-minded and curious, and we just want to learn. We want to grow, and we want to spread the word around Northwest Oklahoma, and let everybody out here know that there's a safe place where they can come and they can talk about this, and we won't think they're crazy. Now, the Facebook page, on the other hand, it is a little bit different. I don't want to toot my own horn a whole lot, but our Facebook page is actually a good place to get what I call wisdom nuggets. Let's face it, you can listen to a lot of YouTube videos or podcasts or something where you hear people talk about, how they were driving down the road and they happened to see a Sasquatch crossing the road, and he was really scary, and then he ran off, and that was the end. There's hundreds and hundreds of these accounts, and what can you really learn from them? Not a whole lot. I mean, let's face it, we all want to see one. We want to have that experience. And we're all looking for ways, or maybe we're trying to be a little conniving and figure out ways that we could increase our chances of being able to have some type of Sasquatch experience. Or, I mean, I don't want to end up in one's lap, but man, I sure would like to see one, especially maybe from a distance, I don't know if I'd want to try to open up a line of communication with them or whatnot, because you never know what you're going to get. But our page has kind of morphed into a place that's kind of a Facebook page of learning. I don't post. You'll notice that probably 90% of all the posts on my page are from me. Every morning I get up, I drink coffee, and I listen to YouTube videos, little podcasts, stuff like that. And I go through and I filter out all the ones that are just fluff. You know what I mean? And the ones that I can find some nugget, something that's interesting about their behavior or patterning them, something that I find, that might actually be potentially useful, well, I'll add that to the Facebook page. There's no fluff there. Now I do have a soft spot for, my fellow Okies, on the page. I always make sure that your stuff is on there, because, a lot of your stuff is local, and you're a local guy. Sooner Sasquatch, I always try to post some of his stuff on there, and Dave from Bigfoot and more, these are all local guys. I'm a big local fan, and I believe that stuff does apply to us. And so a lot of times there'll be stuff in there that doesn't necessarily have nuggets, but it's a local guy. But for the most part, if you see me posting something on there, there's something there that you can learn. Not a bunch of I'm probably gonna make somebody mad, but I've seen enough Sasquatches playing the saxophone. You know what I mean?
Yes, I know exactly.
And I just want there to be a place where people can actually go, and I'll filter them out for you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's a lot of the same story, different place, different people. You know what I mean? So.
Right. Yes, I do. And going back to you were saying like how you wanted to see one or encounter one. I'm the same way. I haven't seen one yet, and I really would like to see one. And I know you can't choose how you would encounter a Bigfoot, but mine would be definitely a roadside encounter. I'm just driving in the safety of my vehicle. I see one crossing the road or just standing on the side of the road, and I can slow down, get a nice little look, and then press on the gas and get the heck out of there.
Yeah.
That's how I would
Amen,
choose
brother. That would be very convenient, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, I want to read you kind of a random Bigfoot report here. And you were just saying, we can't always learn from roadside encounters or whatever, but this actually is a roadside encounter story. But I want to get your reaction to this. I actually I posted this one on Squatch Ranger Files episode 43, I believe, or 42. I don't know, one or the other. So you might have already heard this story, but I just want to get your reaction to this point that the author made in this report. I got this from the Facebook page called Bigfoot's Wilderness. Bigfoot's Wilderness. It comes from that page. And I didn't get an exact location. I tried to write in and ask, but in the story it says it's a truck driver, and he was on his way to Tulsa. So I don't know where he's coming from. I don't know if
is that the one where
away,
he's on 412?
If it was it doesn't say.
I think I remember that one. I pictured him being on 412s.
Okay, maybe it was. Could have been. So basically what happens here is there's a truck driver. It's early in the morning. He's, going on his route to Tulsa. he sees a creature leaning over a deer carcass, and he's tearing chunks of meat from the deer carcass and bringing it up to its mouth and eating the deer. And as the truck's approaching and getting closer and closer, this creature turns and it looks directly at the driver, not just generally at the truck. He's like making eye contact, looking directly, specifically at the driver. What's your reaction to that? Like, this creature knows that there's a person in the vehicle and they're looking right at him. How do you react to that?
A couple of conclusions that I would first draw is there are some things that you can learn from that. Number one, you can, of course, they're perhaps picking up roadkill. Maybe that's why there's so many roadside encounters. Maybe there's an answer. Maybe you could use that to your advantage. The other thing that I remember that one, and it was almost like he could see him through the windshield. Now you got to ask yourself,
yes,
can a Sasquatch vision see through a windshield? Is their vision like ours, or is it different? These are some of the things that we just don't know, but obviously it tells me that they can either see through glass, or he's had experiences in the past where he knows that a driver is going to be on the front left-hand side of that vehicle. And if that's the case, then remember these things, and they know to look right there. Sounds like to me he was almost making an attempt to defend his kill. He probably heard something coming, and pretty standard issue response. It's like, oh, something's coming, I got to defend my kill.
Yeah, I kind of envision this thing it's an intimidation. I'm intimidating you. I know to look right at you. Like,
come at me,
that's
bro.
kind of what I see going on there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I will say this, that all roadside encounters do offer one thing, and that's a location. Locations are really, really handy.
Yes.
But yeah, I think he was probably just protecting his kill, and it's probably a standard issue response. He would have probably acted the same way with just about anything that he perceived as a threat coming after his little Lunchable, his deer Lunchable.
Right. Okay, I like that. That's good. That's good stuff, Brian. This is Brian Terrell with the Red Dirt Cryptids Investigations team, and I just want to know, this is a common question in the Bigfoot circles. It goes around all the time. Is your group, what's your official stance? Are you a kill or a no kill group?
Well, no kill, definitely. You can say what you want to say about a lot of people think that you need to kill one and have one laid out on a table for scientists to inspect, so that we can have them recognized as a legitimate as a legitimate species. I'm of the opinion that they don't need our help. They've been doing just fine, and I think pretty much everybody that's really in the know on the Sasquatch thing knows that their population's actually increasing. I'm no expert, but that's just what they say. I don't think they need our help. I think, and they damn sure don't need our government's help. The government can't do anything right, and people are smart by themselves, but when you put people together, they're stupid. And look at some of the historical historical records of the way, because people have captured them in the past, from the 1850s and stuff, the old newspaper clippings. What did we do with them? We locked them up in cages. I think there was even I can't remember where it was, but there was one where we shaved it and put it in an insane asylum. Are you familiar with that one?
No, I don't think I've heard this one.
I can't remember where I can't remember where I heard this, but what they were basically describing was a Sasquatch, and apparently they captured it, and it was a young one, and they shaved it and put it in an insane asylum, and it died, so they buried it. Yeah, so these things, they don't need our help. They need us to, leave them alone. And sometimes I feel bad because I'm intruding on them, but I would keep their secrets. I wouldn't disclose any place where that would be one of my big fears is actually getting video footage of them. I mean, what are you going to do with that? And everybody's going to want to know where you got it.
Right.
I mean, the last thing I want to do is have a bunch of people flock to the area and drive them out of their home. I mean, we don't know a whole lot about them. For all we know, they're just as intelligent as we are. Maybe they've actually, what if they are as smart as we are? And what if they've chosen a life of nature? There are people like us that choose to live that way. What if they've just,
That's true.
What if many hundreds of years ago they just forsaked, technology and machinery, and this is what they've chosen? Who knows? Nobody knows. And so if we don't know much about them, then I don't think we need to kill one and put it on a table just so we can, protect it. If we did kill one, which I think we really have, and I think the government hides it, I just don't think that any good would come of it. Not at all.
Okay, so your group is a no-kill group, and I just want to ask: Do you still carry a gun on your investigations, and why do you carry a gun? If you do?
Well, tweakers. I know it sounds silly, but I honestly believe the most dangerous thing in the woods is humans. You get off in the woods, away from the cops, away from the cities, away from cameras. People's true natures come out. I know it sounds horrible, but I don't trust people. People are sketchy. I used to live in Oklahoma City for a while. I've seen a few things. I know big bad Oklahoma City, that really ain't a whole lot, but I've seen some pretty bad things, and I know what humans are capable of, especially when they think nobody's looking. Another problem that has just kind of really started rearing its ugly head in the last 10 years is wild hogs. They are never alone, kind of like a Sasquatch. The difference between Sasquatch and hogs is Sasquatches, you really don't find them in groups of 40. You know what I'm saying? And I think wild hogs are dangerous.
Right.
And you never know what they're going to do because they're kind of a cross between a wild animal and domesticated animal. So they don't have that natural fear of humans. So, yeah, I carry a gun, but, I have no intention. Now, if a Sasquatch jumped on me and was biting me, I'm going to do my best to get my gun out, and I'm going to try to put a few rounds in him. But, it's, that's just self-protection. I would never want to harm one intentionally.
Agreed. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here. I think you've, in the past, with your group, the Red Dirt Cryptids, you've had like a meet and greet where you had some people come in and meet maybe at a restaurant or something, and maybe you exchange stories or something. And did you have a meet and greet just like last summer or something?
We did. We tried that. I don't think that people are comfortable with us yet. I don't think the word had really gotten out. We did have some people show up. We met a few really nice people, and we met at the old Flamingo lounge over at in Enid, and I was totally shocked that many people. We had like 4 or 5 people show up. Some of them I haven't heard from since, regrettably, but some of them are still around. I still chit chat with them and keep them abreast of what we're doing and if we're going to be going out on any low impact campouts. But it was nice, and I actually learned some stuff from them. Found out some information on a sighting that I knew a little bit about, but didn't know much. There was a lot of vagueness about it. I was able to put together and found out some information. That was good, because that was one of our sightings that we've got documented. But that guy that actually saw the Sasquatch crossing the road he won't go and do an interview, and that's fine. We don't need to pin anybody down or I just want the information. That I'm primarily interested in the information. So, and that's what those meet and greets are for. I hope that after things get a little bit back to normal, a little bit more, we could have a couple more of them and maybe entice a few more people. We were only advertising it on the Facebook page back then, and I think we just probably barely had 100 people on our Facebook page. We just recently turned over 400, so we're growing, and hopefully our target audience is growing, and hopefully we can get the word out. And I don't know, maybe we can create like a little community in Northwest Oklahoma of people that trust each other enough to talk, and share knowledge and wisdom.
That's great. I'm kind of been brainstorming. I kind of want to try maybe a virtual, maybe like a Zoom type thing, meet and greet, something similar to what you're saying. So I was going to ask, and I think you kind of answered the question. So it wasn't just mostly you talking. There was some people, some guests that showed up that did share some stories, or maybe had questions and spoke a little bit. It was,
we
it was
have
a conversation.
We kicked around a lot of ideas for it, and we wanted to have a nice platform where perhaps one day we could actually do some educational type stuff. Not that I'm a certified professor of Squatchdom, but you can learn a lot. And unfortunately, I watch a lot of videos and I read some books and stuff like that, and I have learned a lot. And I think that anything I can do to educate other people in my area that are like-minded, I would love to share any knowledge that I know. But the problem is, and the reason why we ended up at the Flamingo Lounge, which is, for anybody that don't know, it's like a bar type atmosphere, one of those bars that you can have kids in. We were just, with COVID and everything, we were really struggling to try to find a place where we could all meet, and so and meet in in style, if that makes any sense. So I think that's a good idea, meeting
I was going to ask,
with Zoom meeting. That's interesting.
Yeah, and I might talk with you about that in the future. But I was going to ask, what did you order? Do you remember what you ordered?
The Flamingo is known for its greasy cheeseburgers, and so that was probably what I ate. Pretty sure, a greasy cheeseburger, and you can't get French fries there. You gotta have chips, and you can only got one choice of chips, and that's potato chips, the salty kind. So no.
They make the chips.
They're pretty.
No, okay.
Yeah, they're pretty low tech there, but they've been doing it. They've been there forever. I mean, I'm 48 years old, and I guarantee you that place was there and running when I was 10. So hopefully it's there for a long time to come.
Well, next time I'm going through Enid, maybe I'll check that place out. I've never eaten there. Okay, back to Bigfoot talk here. What I want to know, what kind of Sasquatch experiences have you had?
I've never
personally?
had a Class A sighting. Looking forward to that one time, someday. But We went down to southeastern Oklahoma not too terribly long ago, and we had a really freaky experience in the middle of the night where we had what I'm 98% sure that we had probably some juveniles come in, and they were toying with us in the middle of the night. It was quite unnerving for me because I was sleeping in a hammock at the time, and one came really close to me and stepped on a stick and broke a stick. And I know you're probably thinking, oh man, they're like ninjas of the forest. Well, whatever this was, it stepped on a stick, and as soon as it did, it grunted just like you or I would if we stepped on a stick and ghosted ourselves. It was like crack, and it went ugh, like it was disgusted with itself. And that it was probably 15 feet or less from me. Scared the bejeebers out of me. I come flying out of that hammock, and I started yelling, and I think I scared the crap out of Jeff. And I do a pretty decent reenactment of what happened on that one specific YouTube video where we kind of went over everything. But it was, my devil's advocate was on high alert the next morning, and I just could not explain what was going on, that night by any other means other than having a couple of the big men running around my campsite that night. It was intense. It was really intense.
Well, as you retell that, it makes me think of me waking up in the middle of the night, and I'm walking across the house in the dark, and I step on one of my son's toys, and it absolutely just stabs into my bare feet, and it makes me jump up, and I'm angry and hurt all at the same time. So maybe your Bigfoot was stepping on Junior's toy stick in the middle of the woods type
I
thing
definitely
when he was,
got the impression
going to the
he
bathroom or
was
something.
slightly disgusted with himself. I say he. I mean, it could have been a she, but that was
Yeah.
Looking back on it, it was a very exciting and exhilarating experience. I'm not trying to talk myself up, but I have spent a lot of time in the woods, and I know what most animals sound like and the noises they make. And I mean, there is just nothing quite like it when they come in and they're making that mouth popping noise. I mean, I don't know how to do it, but it's like, when you kind of pull a suction cup with your tongue on the top of the roof of your mouth and you kind of pop it. It was something similar to that, and it was pretty loud. And they were just doing that, and it was almost like they were testing us to see, how much it would take to, wake us up. And they were I'm pretty sure there was two of them, and one was around on the back side of our camp, and one was on the north side, and they were kind of probing us, and I think they were basically learning from us to see what they could get away with without waking us up. And sometimes I think the one that was making the popping noises was trying to distract us from what the other one was doing, and they were trying to get in our cooler. As a matter of fact, Jeff Hatfield and I both heard the cooler open up in the middle of the night. And of course, I'm laying in the hammock, and I don't want to move, because I'm just kind of partially scared, partially just loving it, and so excited. And I heard the cooler lid open, and at the time, we thought that the cooler was still sitting on the ground. And I thought, well, now, Brian, that could be coons. That could be like a little bear or something, that's over there opening that cooler. And we heard the cooler lid open. You know how those old school coolers, when they open, they go, And I heard that, and I was just like, oh,
yeah.
I'm like, Brian, don't get your hopes up. That could be a coon. That could be anything. We got up the next morning, and Micah had taken the cooler and taken it up off the ground and set it in the back of his pickup truck in the middle so that nothing could get to it. So whatever it was had to actually reach up and over into the pickup truck to open it up. It was, it was very enlightening.
Wow.
Something had to have been pretty big and reach up and over. So that was exciting. Just made me really happy. So kind of had to.
What's talking to witnesses or something maybe you've experienced, what's some of the strangest or weirdest Bigfoot reports you've received or heard on another program?
Well,
what's totally weird?
Almost all of them, but there are a couple of things that do stick into my mind. Well, there's two that actually pop into my mind right now. One's kind of interesting, and the other one's kind of concerning. Not too terribly long ago, I posted I think it was a Cryptids Canada video on there, and it was a guy that saw that had an encounter with a Sasquatch, and the Sasquatch had tattoos, and I was totally fascinated by this concept, and so I reached out to Troy Hudson because he knows a lot, and I asked him about it, and he said that he knows of a lot of accounts where Sasquatch have tattoos, or sometimes they even wear jewelry, or he told me a story about one that wore a hat for a while, and that kind of stuff. I find that incredibly fascinating. And the tattoo thing, when you think about how, they were like tribal tattoos, and there's so many questions that just start flooding to your mind when you start thinking about that, and we probably don't have time to go into that, but that's just wow. And the other thing that bothers me is I've been in contact with a poor lady, and I'm a Christian, and I believe in God, and I believe in Jesus, and He's my Savior, and I'm very grateful for everything that He's done for me. But unfortunately, if you believe in the Lord, you also have to believe in demons. And I believe that there are certain situations where demons have pretended to be Sasquatch in order to hide who they really are. And I don't really want to go into this a whole lot, because this is like a can of worms that never ends. But I was visiting a little bit briefly with a lady that was having some issues, and the more and more we talked, the more and more I was like, this lady does not have a Sasquatch problem. This is a demonic presence, and I think that some of these horror stories that people have, a lot of these horror stories that people have, they're Sasquatch related. I just hate, I hate to just put that on the Sasquatch people completely, because demons are real. And I don't know what everybody believes out there. You get to believe what you want to believe. This is still America for a little while yet. And, I believe that demons are real. I do believe that demons can possess people. And I've seen some scary stuff. It just really irritates me that that they will, pretend to be Sasquatch or something they're not. And but that's been on my heart lately. But what do you do about it? Nothing you can do. Just be aware of it. And don't be fooled. So.
What about UFOs? Do you think there's a connection between UFOs and Sasquatch?
When I first got into this, I totally dismissed that as, a bunch of hokey hooey. But the more and more I get into it, and here recently, I guess the government's been releasing all these documents, or the government has actually acknowledged that they have engaged what they call off-world craft in combat. I mean, what do you do with that? What do you do with that knowledge? the sky's the limit on that. Who knows? I think it's possible that maybe they are of alien descent. Maybe they're in contact with them. Maybe they can. Who knows? Maybe they're interdimensional. There's a lot of research and there's a lot of knowledge that's being gained on the different dimensions nowadays, and it's pretty much an accepted fact in the scientific world now that there are other dimensions other than the ones that we inhabit and are aware of personally. I know this is another rabbit hole scenario, but who knows? It maybe somewhere along the line where we developed machines, and we went along the machine technology type road. Maybe they started, focusing on a metaphysical technology, and maybe they developed the ability to go between dimensions. I mean, nobody really knows. Nobody has all the answers. And when you close your mind to one of these, scenarios and just say, no, that just can't be, you've got to have proof. You can't just say, well, that just can't be because I don't like that answer. Well, that's not acceptable. And the truth is we just don't know. So
That's very true. I was asked the same question a while back when I was a guest on a show called Oklahoma Ghost Stories, and it's also available here on Anchor for all you listeners on Anchor. Go check out Oklahoma Ghost Stories. I was a guest on there. He asked me what my thoughts were about Sasquatch and UFOs. I don't think I answered it very well, but if I could go back, I would say, first off, I'm a huge Ancient Aliens fan of Ancient Aliens. I really like that show. It's just very interesting. I really like that show. Always have for a long time. I need to catch back up with it. But talking about Sasquatch and aliens, UFOs, I don't know if I'm quite there yet. I want to see more. I just want to be on standby and kind of wait until maybe we hear more or get more evidence of that. But I'm not quite there on that bandwagon yet. I don't want to make light of it or make fun of people or put them down that are totally on that path of what their thinking's going on, because I just don't want to be that way, because I think there's people out there that do put you down if you don't believe a certain way that they believe or whatever. I'm not going to be that way, but I'm not quite there yet. But what I did say on that program was it makes sense to me if there is a UFO correlation, because we can't find them. They basically vanish. There might be 2 tracks someplace and then boom, they're gone. There's not a big line of tracks. Where'd they go? So maybe they got on a UFO and went away. I don't, like you're saying, we don't know everything. I'm not quite ready to be there yet, but it would make sense if that ends up being true. That's my point. Yeah. So let's move on here. What are your future plans for the Red Dirt Cryptids investigations?
I want to be able to get to a point to where get the word out enough to where people begin to trust us. In our area, there's how there's that old saying that for every one report that gets reported, there's 10 that go unreported. I bet imagine in Northwest Oklahoma, it's more like 100. I mean, we just do not talk about this kind of stuff. And I've actually had people contact me, and they've sent me an email, and I can tell that the email is from a generic. It's almost like they made up that email so that they could send that letter to me about their own experience and whatnot, just so they could remain completely anonymous. People are so scared of being ridiculed. I think it's even worse in my area, and so I would like to make an impact on that. over a period of time. It's going to be a tough battle. But in the meantime, while we're trying to work with, gaining the people's trust and being able to be somebody that they feel like that they could confide in, we're going to be out there. We're going to keep camping. We're going to be out there doing stuff. We're going to have our eyes peeled. We're going to be staying up late, listening. We're going to try, every once in a while, we'll probably break down and knock on a tree and maybe, whatever we can do to try to get their attention so that maybe they'll come in and, tinker with us a little bit. But we're going to be out there. We go out a lot, and I go camping a lot. When I'm not camping with the guys, I'm also out there camping with a scout troop that Mike and Doan and I are involved with, and I'm probably camping 2 weekends a month. But you got to get out there, and you got to be aware. You got to look for tracks, and just kind of be aware of your surroundings and kind of be mentally open, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. Yes, it does. Okay, I want to talk about a couple of your YouTube videos really quick. We're about to wrap up here. You have a YouTube video out there where you kind of give some suggestions on how to rig up some kind of lights on your car. So if you see a Sasquatch maybe approaching, or anything approaching in the middle of the night, you can just flip on these lights. You also have a video, it had to do with, I think they're called bionic ears. I think they're actually for guns to deaden the sound of gunshots, but they also automatically have bionic ears, and you can hear, and you're kind of giving your review of that. Just really quick, for maybe someone starting out in Bigfooting, just a random item to include in your Bigfoot investigation pack.
They are amazing, and they're not very expensive. I don't even think they're $50. I actually bought them years ago. That set is probably 10 years old, and they just work. And here recently, I took them when we went down to Hanabi with Troy Hudson, and where you and I was down there, and we were all sitting around the campfire, and we were sitting there, talking, and everybody was chit chatting and stuff, and there was some big men out in the distance that were calling, and they were making, these roars, kind of these howls, and most of the other people were not hearing them. I was hearing all of this, and I'll tell you something else, just kind of a side plug. Troy Hudson has got a set of ears on him. He was the only one that was hearing all the stuff I was hearing, and he was hearing it without any assistance whatsoever. That dude can hear. I'm here to tell you right now. But I was hearing all kinds of vocalizations off in the distance that I don't think that anybody else in the group except for Troy was hearing. I mean, it was amazing. And everybody else was just jibber jabbering and talking and stuff. And there was a lot of activity going on that a lot of people on that expedition missed out on. So I was very thankful for those.
Okay. Yeah, wow. Okay, I'm going to have to get with you after the show, and you're going to have to send me a link on Amazon to get some of these.
I tried to let you borrow them.
I think I want to get some. That sounds pretty cool. Let's move.
Money well spent.
Well, I might have to just get me a pair of my own. Let's move into final thoughts here. I want to give you a chance to plug your Facebook page, your YouTube channel, give contact info to the audience. Any final thing you want to say to the listening audience out there?
We're nothing special. We're just a bunch of guys that, we'll listen to you. We want to know what you know. We're not going to condemn you. We don't just do Sasquatch stuff. Anything. We're also aware of dogman activity, and we've even had some reports of flying cryptid activity too. And we'll keep any information that you want us to keep quiet. Okay, you don't even have to tell us who you are, but we're very, very interested in what's going on. If you want to keep the location secret, I guarantee you we will never disclose it. As a matter of fact, we've even had in the main group, we've actually had conversations about how if somebody tells one of the people in our group something in confidence, that we are not allowed to talk about it with other members of the group. We're very serious about it because, we've been ridiculed and we know what it's like, and we don't appreciate it. People are, a lot of times grown people act like little teenage girls, and they just get vicious with stuff and they have no reason to. But we can definitely appreciate you guys wanting to keep confidentiality. But we just want to know what you guys know, because there's a lot of things in Northwest Oklahoma and all around, 3-state area. I'll even drive to Missouri. We want to know what's going on, and we want to know what you know, and because that's the goal. We want to just learn more about them.
All right, so if someone's listening right now and they do have something to
Probably
report,
the best and fastest,
how do they
and
contact
easiest,
you? What's the
painless
easiest way?
is Facebook. You can look us up on Facebook. It's Red Dirt Cryptid Investigations. You can, we have a website, Red Dirt Cryptid Investigations @gmail.com. But, if you just get on Facebook, you can, find me. My name's Brian Terrell. I'm one of the admins, or you could find any one of the admins. And you can message them using Messenger. That's probably the most painless way. But I think my phone number is even posted in the files portion of the Facebook page. So you can actually call me. But if you call me, text me first. So if I get a phone call from a random number, I usually think they're trying to reach me about my car's extended warranty. So
Nice. All right, this is Brian Terrell of the Red Dirt Cryptids Investigations team. Look them up on Facebook, look them up on YouTube. And Brian, thank you so much for coming on the show. You've been a great guest here on Squatch Ranger Files. Please come back sooner
thank
than
you so
later.
much.
I'd like
I
to have you as a
appreciate
guest on again in the
I appreciate
future.
you thinking about us, and we will. I'm looking forward to working with you guys in the future.
Unlock the unknown.
I won't accept it what the skeptics even have to say. They just